So welcome to the VA PALS OSEHRA Working Group meeting for Wednesday, May 23rd, 2018. Here's your usual reminder that we are recording this so that other people can see it as well. And I think we shall dive right in. So Larry, are you ready to show your cool thing?
Certainly, this should go pretty quickly. Let's see, I will share my screen. One thing to remember is I'm a DSL, and so it's possible that my voice will go away. My audio will go away. So let me just say that basically what we're going to do is off of my Docker account, my Docker instance, I am going to set up a new TIU note and visit on Avicenna. So it's that straightforward. So I'll share my screen and we'll see what happens here.
Awesome.
So can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll pick a patient first. Let's try. Let's see. We're in the Boeing city, so I'm going to pick patient 737, and this in blue is the Avicenna, and the purple is my Docker account. So if I do a Z-write of TIU 8925, here's all the TIU notes in Avicenna right now. So the last one is 30, and it's on patient 727. You may understand why I chose that patient. So I have an entry point into my routine, and so right now I have this entry point for demonstration where I put in the patient's DFM, and everything else, the user that's writing the TIU note, the clinic, is set. And of course, in real use, those things would be done dynamically.
So can you remind us what a DFN is?
Oh, of course. The DUZ is the IEN in the user file, in file 200 of the user, and the DFN is the internal entry number of the patient in the patient file, which is file 2.
Thank you.
Sure. And my next task is to see, I've already started, if we can speed up, so that took several seconds. And if I Z-write my variables, unless it didn't work because we're doing a demonstration, you'll notice it says 31. So over here in Avicenna, there is in fact a TIU note 31 for 737, and then we'll go look also in CPRS, but CPRS is kind of small, so we'll go take a look. And this is the visit file, and you'll notice there's a visit here. It's also generated for patient 737. So there's a new visit encounter and a TIU note. And we can, I don't know whether you'll be able to see my CPRS, but just to show that it's over there, I'm going to open up CPRS in Avicenna. And you'll notice it comes up, by the way, with the patient that I last used. So we'll make sure that this is the right patient. So patient I selected was killer. And since I'm over here in Avicenna, it picked up the last patient I looked at in Avicenna, but hasn't, of course, picked up the last patient I looked at in my Docker. So we'll go choose that patient.
Larry, would you clarify? You say Avicenna. Is that the Avicenna on your Docker, your local Docker instance?
No, sir. Hi, George. Blue is the how do I say this? This is the Avicenna that everyone's using our main VA PALS instance, and the purple is, and I know they all look like Avicenna, don't they? And the purple is my local Docker instance. So
okay, so what you just did is you sent a TIU node from your local Docker instance and inserted it into a patient on Avicenna.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So I'm over here in Avicenna. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, cool. I just wanted everyone to really understand the importance of this. This is really cool. And so the CPRS that you're showing us here is CPRS attached to Avicenna.
That's right. This is our VA PALS, and so from my separate instance, there is a lung cancer screening TIU note that's been generated. It's unsigned over in Avicenna, and there are many other things that we can move over there at the same time. We don't just have to put the few things I did. The way this call works is you set out an array, and these are the field names, and so these are all the fields. I'm only at author, hospital location, and reference date, but there's quite a wide variety of other fields that you can stick in at the same time. And feed is about connection execution from another instance. But you can add much more data, and it doesn't change the timing at all of this. And you can also add text. So the next thing I'll do is perfect the text, and we'll not only have a TIU over here, but we can have the text that's desired to put in the TIU as well. So I think that's about it. So it did create a visit encounter at the same time. So I think that's it.
That's very cool, Larry.
Yes.
Very cool.
Any questions about kind of the meaning of this, or questions for Larry? Okay.
This is Rick.
I think Dom was going to show us something next.
Quick question. This is the first time you've got it working, or how far along are you here? Do you feel this is
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
just something? Is it, how far along are we in terms of being able to use it?
As the other calls, as in the patient lookup in the SSN, it can be used at any time. I mean, right now it doesn't put in the text, but these are, my commission has always been to use broker calls that already exist at the VA. So this is a broker call that already exists. It's the one that's used when you generate a TIU note through CPRS. And so it's ready to go anytime. Now there are a couple of codicils here. I understand I know what the IP and the port address for where I'm going is, and we have now put that in a parameter setting in the system. And also the biggest codicil for M2M is that when you go over and pull data from another instance, you have to go over signed in as a user that's allowed to use those broker calls under that context. So in other words, I'm a user at both Avicenna and on my own Docker. So if I was going to pull something from Denver, whoever's going to do that has to have the access and verify codes to Denver. Because what it does is it goes over and signs into Denver under your name, and performs the activity. But other than that, they're all ready to work right now.
That's really awesome. So just there's a few things to do still to get user control, roles and all of that, and security tightened up, but looks great.
And basically, we will need some user feedback once they start using this to see if there's other information that they either need pulled from the Vista system or that they want to put into the Vista system.
Yeah, you know, there's over 3,000 broker calls that exist at every VA, largely to support CPRS, but they also support other systems. And those are all for us, for anybody that wants to use them. So all of that code is there, and it's already at every VA site. So I will stop.
That's fantastic.
What was that, Ricardo?
I said that's fantastic. That's exactly what we were looking for. It's great.
Okay. So it looks like Dom is ready to show us stuff.
Yeah. So just a little bit of progress from the last time we talked. If we recall, I think it was this meeting where we went over the document on the left. We had some feedback, and we said we would try to integrate all that stuff by this week, and I think we have. So I just wanted to run through it pretty quick and show you where we're at. So the first page here is just the home page. The only thing we're asked to do is take off that chart. You can see on the right here that it's gone. And did a couple changes in a couple places actually. And I can't take credit for half of this stuff, but for example, your patient lookup, I don't think this was working to this degree last week, but basically you can type in a couple letters of the last name or the last 5 or some other criteria, come up with a list, and pick the person you want. We also added this indicator with a little icon that indicates that this particular person is already in the VA PALS system. If you select one of the patients that's already enrolled, you'll just go straight to the case review page. If you choose anyone else, and I'll do it just as an example, and you try to select them, you're prompted to register for VA PALS. And of course, you can say no to go back or yes to enroll them, and you end up on the new and improved intake form. But let me jump back to the case review page just so we can kind of go in order here. A couple changes to the case review page is changing the first column to an SSN. And instead of putting the entire SSN here, we're just using the last 5. I think we can probably change that in the future, but right now it's just the last 5 there. We concatenated the name fields. We used to have last name and first name, and now we're going to just concatenate them and show last name, first name, and middle initial. And the last thing was facility code. So that part's all done. Now the intake form, this is just released this morning actually onto this particular server. I wanted to really simplify the form to quite a lot, taking what Phoenix has in their system as a model. So what you see here is basically the conversion from these screenshots into new fields over here on the right. I think we got them all, and although this isn't completely functioning right now, I'd love to submit everything and show you what it looks like on the back end. We're just not there yet. It should be done shortly though. But here you have contact information here, smoking history, and on the bottom here, this little note about shared decision making. I didn't put a checkbox here because I don't think it's really an option. If it is, we can put a checkbox there and indicate that. But
I think, Dom, I think that means that they're saying they discussed it.
Yeah. So you think there should be a check mark then?
Yeah.
I would for now.
Okay. That's fine.
That means you have to take a positive action to say that you did it instead of it just being there either way.
Sure. And the last thing
Also,
that's
if I could just add before you go on, that will probably also translate into a health factor that Phoenix also utilizes for their dashboard and other things. So anyway, I just want to point out that some of these things will result in health factors being generated.
Okay. And one of the other things we did as part of this exercise is kind of change how we submit data to the server. I won't bore you with the details, but the end result is that these links up here look the way they're supposed to now. If you remember from last week, they're kind of offset and put in weird places. So you can go back to the case review page pretty quickly here. And there used to be a delete link up here as well, and we changed that to a button that's now on the bottom, so you can remove the intake form or the background form or whatever is not complete and start over. So that's it for the intake form. This page here is not for me. I think George and some other folks are going to be working on that part. But the background form, that also changed. So I can show you that one quickly. Basically removed mostly everything and kept only the medical history information. So this page has also been trimmed down quite a bit. Right, so all you're seeing here is the medical history tab. There's no tabs at all anymore. It's just one page. Any questions on any of that?
Are you able to listen to it, John? Oh, make sure you're muted before I talk. At the bottom.
Hey, Dom, whenever it's available on the demo site, I'd like to send it to Claudia and Sam and Pee Wee and make sure that they're happy with what we took away, what we've converted this to now, which is pretty much what they've asked for. So I think it should be good.
Yeah, and we should be able to share that by tomorrow.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And I think that's it for me.
So no other questions for Dom? George, were you going to show something today?
No, I wasn't. I was. Dom has showed the results of my work.
Awesome.
That's good.
So this is Larry. I just noticed when you were looking at these, I'm not sure if there's an interest in doing it, but patient's address is available through broker calls, as are, I believe, diagnostic codes. So you could pre-fill, if you desired, things like diabetic, if the patient's been diagnosed as a diabetic.
I think that's probably something that we will discuss next week when we're all together in Phoenix, or at least some of us are together in Phoenix. That would be a good thing to talk with the folks and see if they want that or not.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea. I'm not sure how you would get that information from Vista. If we didn't, this is what I'm talking to Larry about, conversation with Matt about having a taxonomy. I mean, there are a lot of different codes about, Vista represents being a diabetic in a number of ways, I think. And is there a call that you know of, Larry, that will actually tell you that the patient's a diabetic?
I'd have to look. I'm not aware of a single call that does it.
Right.
But anything that you can see in CPRS when you pull up a patient is certainly available, and there's other calls available that aren't used right now.
Yeah. So what we want to probably look for is there a way to to trigger a reminder, a reminder list call or a reminder finding that that would basically use a taxonomy, and would have that taxonomy would have all the codes and the codes that are used for diabetics, and then would be able to return the results of the reminder list finding for that patient, and then we'd be able to use that as a way of pre-filling the is the patient diabetic. So that, because I know that CPRS does show the results of reminders that are executed when you I think they're actually executed when you select the patient. They execute the reminder calls, and those are the alerts. But I'm not sure if there's an RPC to actually trigger a reminder finding. So that'll be something for us to look for.
So that's probably beyond the scope of the version we're working on now, but if that's something that they want, we can look to put it in later.
But certainly the pre-filling the address is something we can do this time.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great idea, Larry. Why don't we try to pre-fill the address?
Okay, I'll find a broker that'll bring us back their current address.
That'd be great, because I think actually that the address is something we could use on the intake form, right? So we could do that at enrollment time when we pull back the SSN. We can also pull back the address and
right.
pre-fill that one. And I agree with I think the reminders thing, which is mostly used in the background form, which is now optional, would probably be the next phase kind of thing. But it's good to look into it.
Okay, so anything else that anybody wants to present or have ask questions, or this is where the open part of the meeting?
Well, Dom, would you share your screen again on the on that page that that has the text report that is desired to be inserted in Vista?
Yeah, give me just a second. This one right here?
Yeah, could you make that big for us? So,
How's that?
yeah, I think that's, can everybody read that? More or less.
I can probably make it bigger.
More or less.
So Larry, I think this is what we'd like to insert. Or at least, like, so for example, so you're talking about inserting text in the TIU note. So I think this is a printout of a note title, of a patient note. And I think that certainly the shared decision-making paragraph is just text. I don't think there's any computation involved.
That would be the one that whether or not the checkbox is checked would probably make the difference.
Right. Yes, we should check to see that the checkbox is checked. That's true. And then I think based on the answers to the questions, so the things in the form we can check. So when they press submit on that intake form, that the brand new intake form, which again, this is it's just become available, I think, today, and so we should look at it. But when we can conditionally begin to generate this note, I think, based on those fields. Of course, the problem is signing it. We don't know about signing. And then the other problem is these the things in the middle. The things in the middle probably come from health factors. So that's probably 3 or 4. That's probably 4 health factors. Anyway, so
Yeah.
so the next step is probably to try to now take the new input form and Larry's new capability of inserting a TIU note and put those two things together to try to generate this TIU note for the patient, based on when they press the submit button.
I wonder if the signing could take place in the Vista system.
Well, you know, certainly we could start out that way, and while we explore whether or not we can remotely sign.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll take a look at this, George. And you can remotely sign, but of course the broker requires that your hash codes be sent over, and so it would require a little work. But I'll take a look at this, see if we can't start generating a real CIU that looks like this.
That'd be terrific. Thank you. That'd be the next step, and that's the last. I mean, I think if we get that done, that's the last remaining piece from. Of course, I have some things to finish on the enrollment side, but so we were pretty close to being able to implement what was in the spec, I think.
Awesome.
I noticed while we were talking here, by the way, that there's at least one of the first reminders. There's a VPS Get Clinical Reminders broker call where you turn in the patient's DFM. It was for the VetLink kiosk system, and it returns the Do Now clinical reminders for the patient.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, maybe we could make that work. I don't know. The thing is, we would like to evaluate reminders that we will build, and we'd like to not have we don't want to have the reminders that we build show up on everybody's CPRS system for the patient. But that's,
I see.
You know, so that's interesting. Yes. So is there another parameter? It's just a DFN. That's it.
Let me see. I'm looking at it right now. Clinical reminders. I think it's just the DFM.
All right. Well, it's a place to start looking.
Right.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, that's all I had on this topic.
Excellent. And anything else? Okay.
Thank you, Dom.
Sure.
So I don't think we will be having this call next week. We'll skip it next week because some of us will be in meetings. But the week after that, we should be back and showing more very cool stuff. So have a great day, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.